SMD Law is the official law firm of the Spartan Nation. Check them out on the interwebs at smdalaw.com or at 866-529-3537. No matter where you are in the state of Michigan, Upper Peninsula, Lower Peninsula, it doesn't matter. They have an office near you. So whether you need to send a letter to an annoying neighbor, or you're a criminal and you need defense, maybe you just have problems with elder law, check them out, smdalaw.com today. The official law firm of the Spartan Nation. Call them first, then you act.
He's really a good guy, and I don't know. I think that's one of my jobs is to make sure I help the guys like Bobby Knight and Gene Cady, and those guys help me. I'll never forget Bobby Knight giving me some warning signs, and so Tim's good enough that he takes them. But I love what he's done. I think he's got a really good team this year.
Yeah, his joke was that he didn't call this time around after the season they had last year.
Too good.
Yeah.
They're too good now. Yeah, I don't want to get them jacked up for this year.
What are your impressions of them? Obviously, they missed the tournament, but won a lot of games and then bring a lot of people back this year.
I feel bad about missing the tournament. I think they were 13-5 in the league. Shame on us. That means we all did a bad job, if you ask me. Granted, you can look at some of their schedule, but they had Kansas beat. That one win probably puts them in. So that bothers me a lot, because I think that's an insult to our league. But I do think the people he got back, those guards he got, are as good as anybody in the country, much less the Big Ten. So, like I say about myself, they can overcome his coaching and his tweet, and they'll be good.
Thank you, appreciate it.
You've always liked the Champions Classic. Do you like it the first day of the season?
I do. I think it's cool that we're going to start out with that game. I think it I don't know if it's like they said it was going to be, where it's the only. Is there any other game that night? I heard it was going to be the only set of games that night. But it for us, it kind of says that we're one of those four schools, and we've been consistent, and we've held our own in that thing, and it's still one of the most watched nights of basketball of the whole year. You never can argue who you're playing. It's always going to be somebody good, and it gives you, are we quite ready for it the first game? Maybe not, depending on what year you are, but at the same time, I think it's a great barometer where you are, and it wakes your guys up quick. They're all sick of practicing. Now you get slapped in the face one way or another in a positive or negative way. I think it's really good.
You've always liked pressure, but last year, if you lost one game, it was like the world ended. This year, I think everyone expects some losses, but expects you to be better at the end. Is it a little bit more fun now that this is going to be a lot of coaching? You can experiment more because it's not the end of the world with a loss.
Well, listen, guys, let's get the white elephant out of the box right off the bat. Last year it's hard to compare anything to because of all the things that our team, our university, our program, and our survivors went through. So it's hard to have it's hard for me to say how 20-year-olds were thinking, because I know how a 60-year-old was thinking, and I just think I marvel at the focus they kept through that whole thing. And it was disappointing to lose a couple games that I'd hoped to win, but it also, we were still real young, and people don't want to hear that. But everybody I've interviewed with today is talking about, why is Kentucky not in Final Fours on a regular basis? It's because teams winning it, Villanova, North Carolina, it was Michigan State. It was all those teams, 90% of them had junior, senior oriented teams, and hard even to get the Final Fours with all young guys, as everybody's finding out. Kansas, a lot of veterans. So, I don't know. I don't look at anything last year in the same realm except, the respect I had for our guys handling something that they had nothing to do with. And they did a pretty good job of it. How much it affected them, I don't know, but I enjoyed that team a lot. I loved that team. I loved those players. I had two superstars that might never pass through us again because they were egoless, selfless superstars. And
it's hard to find adults that way, let alone two kids with that talent.
Yeah, so in that respect, I just think everything, it's hard for me to use that as a barometer, as a measuring stick, I will say that we won 30 games, and that's a hell of a season no matter where you are. Was I more disappointed than the fans? Yes. Than the media? Yes. But at the same time, we get beat one year because the team shot unbelievable against us from the three. We got beat one year because the third best three-point shooting team couldn't make a shot. And that's the beauty of the curse of basketball. And hopefully we'll learn from that and figure out that maybe I didn't do as good a job in that game. Maybe a ball should have gone inside more. Maybe this, maybe that. Those will be things that I'll debate with myself.
That's a great answer, but I'd like you to answer my question, and that is it make this year a little bit more fun because this is where, last year you didn't want to tinker, you were winning.
Yeah.
Now you can tinker and it allows more coaching.
I'll tell you what make this year more fun if I go through a year without distractions and injuries. That'll make it more fun. It won't make it more fun because I did love that team. I had fun with that team. It wasn't the team that made it no fun. It was the situation, and it wasn't anybody's fault. It was just what happened. And it was tried to be dealt with the best it could be. But so I don't look at this year as, you're right. So we don't have pressure to win the national championship. I got pressure every year to win a national championship, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And maybe the only year I didn't was Miles' first year because I knew we had so many injuries. But last year, 2 years before that, this year, I don't know who the best team is. I like the fact that we're picked high because I think that's great respect for the program.
Just following up on the offseason, was it hard to kind of move on from that given how many things happened out of your control and put it behind you, or how did you kind of offseason?
The offseason, if I use the word good, I'm not going to use the word move on. I'm going to use the words that I learned a lot. I had a great appreciation for what all kinds of different people went through. And I told you I didn't feel exonerated because I had already said in February what I thought. So that didn't have any play in it. What had play in it was the only way I could get better myself was to think, what can I do to help the cause, to make us a better institution, a better place? And that even grows into society now, the way everything's going around the country. So I got, a few new missions in life, Win a championship is one of. It used to be for a while that was the only one. And so I've grown up as a coach too a little bit, and the off season, it's been a tough 8-9 months for many, many, many people. And time doesn't heal, time helps heal. And learning helps heal. So I'm going to use those two things, time and what I've learned, and try to help heal a lot of different people.
Just following up on what you said, do you maybe feel either regret or you would have done differently?
No, see, I don't regret anything except that I couldn't talk. And it's easy to say, well, you could have talked. I couldn't talk. I wasn't winning that battle. There was no battle to win. And the one time I did, I said the same thing that I said 4 months later, and now I said after the NCAA investigation. It was all the same, And remember, it wasn't about what happened. It was about what Izzo and D'Antonio hid. It wasn't about what happened. It was about a picture that'll go down to the rest of my life as the lowest part of my life, being on there with a pedophile like I was on there with. So those things, I can't change anything that I really don't know anything, and I can't change anything that I did exactly what the procedures and policies said. Now, could I go beyond those things? That's up for everybody's debate, but the time and place that everything happened, it was handled in the best way it could be handled. And so I regret that it happened. I regret that those poor survivors had to go through that. I regret that I couldn't help solve that. That's what I regret.
The university said that.
Talking about the trials this morning. When all this is over, as a fan of the game, as somebody who's made a living in the game, what do you hope comes out of this to make the image of the game healthier, to make the game itself healthier?
You know, as far as those trials go, again, I go back to this. I know what I think goes on in college basketball, but I don't know what goes on in college basketball. I'm not in those rooms. I was not in those hotel rooms. I was not. I don't have facts on anything. And if I learned one thing this year, it's not to comment on things that I don't have facts on. So, do I feel bad about what's happened to our profession or the perception of what's happening? I do, but it's a very small group of people. Like, I think I work in maybe one of the greatest leagues for cheating that there's been. The Big Ten, I think if you polled coaches, if you polled people, if you polled media people, the Big Ten has been a pretty clean conference. So I've been fortunate. I work in a good place. I don't like what I hear sometimes in recruiting. I don't like what goes on that I hear about. But before I cast stones or say something, I'd have to have a lot more proof. Already just watching and following a little bit, because I don't follow Twitter, but when my assistants tell me or my SID brings something to me to read, it's changed already 10 times, you know, and I just don't know what I know. What I hope happens in the end, we clean up our act. I hope this from day one, that coaches are held accountable and consequences are according to what they do. But I think players should be held accountable. I think parents should be held accountable. Accountable shouldn't be a one-person deal. We all should be held accountable. And that's what I'd like to see happen.
I wanted to follow up. You said you handled everything right for the time that it was. I think the university at one point said that if the Travis Walton situation happened today, they'd handled it differently. How would you handle it differently?
Which Travis Walton thing? I was accused of a couple.
The him staying with the team after some of the accusations and the charges given.
You're talking about a punch? That's the one that was there. Well, do you have something I don't have that has been legitimized?
I'm just asking you. I don't think you've ever addressed it specifically.
No, and I'm not going to rehash things that have already been exonerated by the people, many different people. But it just goes back to what I just said. This accusation thing, I'm not going to comment on things that I don't even know. You saw my face when she brought that up. I had no clue. And would things be handled differently? I'm a little bit bothered to say yes. Every kid would be suspended for everything that happened. Now, some of those kids were suspended on things that happened. It's hard to suspend somebody, Dan, on something you don't even know about. I mean, I can't do that. So on some of that, I'd like to change everything to make sure nothing happened. But all I said is I could not, the procedures and the policies that were in place were followed to the nth degree, including the last one. Okay? That one, which part was true? I mean, living in my house, not true. Being employed, not true.
Well, there was employment records that the school read later.
On a summer camp, we're talking about what I got accused of there, and that was, I mean, remember now, there was nothing that has come out unless you have something.
Well, he traveled with the team, right? Wasn't he on the bench with the team?
Yeah, but I travel a lot of people with the team. I mean, he was a student. Right. I mean, was I gonna?
He was a part of the program, I guess is the way to say it then.
Yeah, but that's not what I was attacked for. I was attacked for you have an employee, an assistant coach, lived in your basement. I mean, think of what I was in. And listen, I am willing to answer questions, but I'm not going to rehash things because we don't have the facts on that stuff. And for some reason, everybody thinks I have the facts. I think it was pretty prominently known that I knew nothing about that. I mean, it was said by attorneys, it was said by other people. I'm not saying it happened, didn't happen, but I can't I just can't do that. Let me ask you this. Would you want me to do that to your kid?
A kid.
If you had a kid, would you want me? Do you have a cousin?
It's not really relevant.
Not to you. It's not really relevant to me on me having to make a decision on something that I didn't know happened.
We saw with Duke lacrosse, even the recent Supreme Court, where some people want no due process, some want a lot of it. But don't you also owe it to everyone involved? You're not the judge nor the jury. And
right.
A kid can get punished.
To go off his question, do I wish it was different? Yes, I wish it was different. Would I have done stuff different? Everybody will do stuff different now. Every kid's going to be suspended now, I think, on accusations. And that seems good unless it's your kid. And if it's your kid, you're going to look at it a little differently. Now, if it's something somebody did wrong, then we're going to deal with it in the appropriate way, which we have. And that's the only thing I'm going to stick by. I can't rehash things that has been proven by legal people. I can't rehash them. I'm not going to rehash them. I appreciated that you didn't have much patience with me before. I understood that. I didn't feel good about it. But I'm not going to rehash something that's been gone through 3, 4, 5 different investigations. I'm not going to do that.
Well, I do want to ask you about that federal lawsuit that was filed this spring. From what I understand, you didn't know anything about that until it came out.
So I can't comment on it.
But I guess when you have that, when you kind of get presented with this stuff, where is your emotion and attitude when you hear about those things? Especially when it comes up in a federal case.
Well, like I said, I don't know. The only thing I heard on that whole thing was that the lawyer said the coaches knew nothing about this. So, do you think, what part of that didn't you understand?
Oh, I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about when you...
What would I do from now on?
No, when you hear about that, at this point...
It saddens me.
Yeah.
It saddens me. I mean, it bothers me. I mean, I think I proved every day that I stuck up for the survivors. I talked to some survivors. I talked to some parents of survivors. I've got a daughter too. I've got a son too. This stuff bothers me every day. Our society needs a gut check. Our society needs some accountability. But that's accountable in everything. What you say and what you do. And so it shouldn't be just what you do, it's also what you say.
Is that for you, though, as a coach? I mean, because coaches are pretty hands-on and want to know everything that's going on. When you find out after the fact something like that, does it cause you pause? Be like,
how many things you think come across my desk daily? So, I got to go with our legal system. I got to go with our people. And you know what this is turning into, guys? I said I would comment. I commented. I commented in February. I commented in the summer on it. I had a little press conference. And I'm not commenting anymore on something that I don't think is fair to me now. I'm not moving forward. Understand this. I'm going to try to do the best job I can do at helping the survivors heal, the students do better, our university do better, but I work at an incredible place that my goal is to make it the safest, greatest place it can be. And I will talk about my team. I'll answer your question because you deserve to. You're giving me, for examples, what if? You just talked to me, Dan, like this was a proven fact. And all I asked you is, what? Because I didn't know. If you were there, how many were there in Maryland? Did anybody look at my face? Do you believe in body language? I looked at him, I was ready to kill him. Like, where did this come from? What's this about? I had no clue. It took me 3 days to call people just to try to figure it out. So, your people are better than mine. I have no problem saying that. But I never did the facts come out. Is that my fault? Why am I held to that? I just don't understand that, and I don't think it's you. I'm not killing the messenger. I just don't understand that. I mean, listen, this is what I'll say to all of you. I feel like I've given this place. You know what this place means? Doesn't mean Michigan State. College basketball, our society, I've given it as much as I can give it for kids, for young kids, for people, for charities, for everything. I'm not apologizing for how I acted, how I treated people. I have the utmost confidence in myself that I'm not perfect, but nobody is, but that on a daily basis, the thought that I was going to hide something like what happened makes me sick. The thought of that makes me sick. It's never been hidden. It never was. That was the big complaint on me and D'Antonio and Hollis, and it never was hidden, and it never will be hidden, and that's why I'm ending it. And so I'll take yours if it's about that, and then I want to talk some basketball.
So, recent conversation with Bill Beekman, I asked if something that could come out of this would be that when it comes to issues of players, law, accusations, whatever it may be, everyone would be better served if those decisions were just taken out of a coach's hand, or whether it's an independent committee or whatever. But a coach, in a lot of ways, you are in an impossible situation of best interest of the kid, his family, whatever it may be, your program, winning, fans, all this stuff. Why should that be your decision when...
I think that's a great question. Here's what I would ask you, though. When a certain incident is investigated by the legal system, by the federal system, by attorneys, if certain issues are investigated by those people, who would you put in charge of that if it was your son? Who would you want in charge of that? I agree. I'd be happy if it wasn't me. I mean, I would do whatever they told me, just like I did whatever the procedures and policies that were in place told me. Who would you put in there?
I mean, that would be up to the athletic department, whether it's an independent thing.
Oh, no. If it was up to the athletic department, I would get framed that this is in-house
also,
stuff.
Like, there's also the matter of while those investigations are going on, what do you do with a kid while an investigation's going on? Should that be up to you, or should that be up to another department? And I think that for now, it is going to be up to the coaches. That's they're the best person to make that decision.
I hate to say it. I think they're up to the court of public opinion now. I think that has already been decided. I mean, did you watch the ticker on any network? There are more football players suspended than Carter got liver pills. I think you're going to be suspended.
Do you think with that, is there something, because that, for the athletes, from their standpoint, that's an eligibility, and that's a running clock. Is there a way that the NCAA can approach that? I mean, I think you said that, you expect that to be the norm. These guys get suspended. I mean, if they pause the clock, is there a way to do that?
Well, you gotta look at a guy that went through it. Once you get accused of something, that's difficult. And if they deserve to be accused, they deserve to be accused. But I think that what happened to America? I mean, what do you guys want? What do you think is fair?
Due process.
Due process? I would agree with that. What do you think? If you write an article, should that be the process? If you hear something about somebody, you hear something about a player tomorrow.
If you're an record of it, or accusations, or put something in, like a federal case that's put out there in a lawsuit, that's when the question's coming. I understand what you're saying.
And that's why I say I don't think I don't think it'll be up to us. I hate to go against my AD, but I think that's already been kind of proven. I mean, I think that if there's any serious accusations on anything, that kid is suspended immediately. I mean, I can think of two of mine that were suspended immediately.
Back to basketball.
Hey, Coach, do we have a minute? What you think about Nebraska basketball this year?
I love Nebraska basketball.
What about Tim Miles?
I like Tim if he quit tweeting, but you know what? if he's on Twitter, I still think he sucks.
Tom, back to basketball. With the fifth-year transfer rule, it's almost impossible at a top program like yours to redshirt guys, or you're going to have people recruiting them to transfer. So when you get 5,
yeah, and everybody's going to have 4 and 5 every year now,
right?
Because between guys going pro and guys coming out and guys transferring, I mean, you're almost always recruiting. The job never ends, and I think that's going to be difficult. Coaches are going to have to deal with that. I don't know how we deal with it, but we have to deal with it. But I got a guy or two this year. I probably should redshirt. On normal years, you do a redshirt them. Maybe I won't because of what you just said. Maybe I won't because it's just not the norm anymore. The good news is guys can come out whenever they want. So if they're good enough the next year, they can still come out. But it is a delicate thing that we're all trying to figure out how to deal with. There's a lot of moving parts right now in college athletics we're trying to deal with. These situations are some. The federal, what's going on out there is some. The one and dones is some. The transfer is off the charts some. We have a lot of moving parts that we have to take a look at. And like everything else, it's hard to make a good decision on something that's never happened before. I mean, in our Nassar case, the biggest pedophile in the history of the game never happened before. You got to make decisions on it. On this stuff, these things have happened, but how often? You've been around forever. How often does something like this happen? Hasn't happened very often. It's never happened where this many kids are transferring. Never happened. So we have a lot of new things that are happening that we're going to have to come to grips with.
Tom, last year Cassius was one of the more outspoken guys when everything was going on and kind of established himself out there. Were you surprised that he wasn't, not that there's anything wrong with Matt and Josh, but you're surprised he wasn't voted a captain this year?
Yeah, no. I mean, it was totally by players, but some of it goes by, how everybody interacts with each other. Cassius is kind of a quiet kid in general, but he's a very intelligent kid. And he'll be one of our leaders. We're going to have, they picked 2 captains. Players picked them, but we also probably going to have a captain each game. I kind of like that. I've seen football do that a little bit, trying to have a captain each game. And he could be that a lot. He could be that some. Hey, Nick was a guy that was making some progress towards that, to be very honest with you. But I think what happens is Cassius is still a quiet guy in general, but he's a very intelligent guy, so he could speak on things because he wasn't prepped for any of the stuff he said last year, and I looked at him sometimes, I wish he would have done my press conference. He did a better job than I did.
How much of that, though, is like you kind of want that point guard that's, is it tough when...
I need him to communicate with the players. Yeah, that doesn't mean that he's everything off the court, but I need him to communicate with the players, and he's set up on that set. That's one thing he's really got to improve on. So I think he's aware of it. Just got to keep doing a better job of it. But I think he will. I think we got a chance to be really good because we got some depth, we got some experience, and we got 3 or 4 guys that played a lot of basketball.
How does it feel for you, I guess, the change maybe in the last 2 years of going from having to do so much teaching at young guys to flipping it the other way again where you got that?
It's funny because you say that because it's true. It was 2 years of so many young guys in that first year with Miles, and there was so many injuries. But in all fairness and honesty, to that is we got 5 new guys now, and we have a couple of those walk-ons are freshmen, and they're all kind of playing right now because of the scout team and that. So it is like 7 guys are out there, but what we have when you have veterans is the veterans teach the young guys, and that's a pretty cool thing. To watch Nick Ward try to help out Marcus Bingham, to watch Cassius trying to help out Foster, to watch Josh and Cueto helping out those wings and Gabe and Aaron. That's been pretty cool, Every one of those guys have taken a guy, whether it's Kithier, they've all taken somebody, and that respect is pretty cool.
Does that surprise you about Nick? Does any of that surprise you? Where he's
they asked me this question too. I can't believe you guys did. Nick and I have an adversarial relationship, my first year it was really good. Last year it wasn't very good. And, I'm sure some of it was me too. But some of it...
like that friction?
Sometimes I do. And what it did is when he needed me to call teams and do the things we did in the spring, I always say that players always want coaches to trust them. You know, hey, let me do that, man. I can do this, man. I can do this. I can do this. I can do that. But players never think that a coach needs him to trust him. You know, they never think it flips. And I think what happened when Nick went is he trusted me because I helped him on some things. And then he came back, and instead of being one of those guys that's half in, he came back and lost 15 more pounds. He was working out at 6 in the morning. I trust him now, you know. I mean, I still have my moments. I don't like everything he does, and he probably still has his moments. But now there's a relationship that is built on trust, the way it should be. And I'll be shocked if Nick doesn't have a great year. You know, he's in better shape. Everybody says, why does he only play 19, 20 minutes a game? Well, some of it is the conditioning he's in.
Kind of like just, you know, sometimes you hear something from your parents, but it takes 5 other people telling you to actually sink in a little.
That's what happened there. You know, I'm become like the parent, and nobody likes to listen to their parents when you're 20. So what happened is he went to the NBA. They told him the same thing. And it was like Shazam, you know. These guys are telling me what those guys are telling me. And I've been impressed. I don't use that word a lot with Nick. I've been impressed by how he's handled that. Appreciative of how the NBA handled it. Impressed with how Nick handled it, to be honest.
Cash told me, speaking of impressed, he was incredibly impressed with Xavier and how far Xavier's come. You mentioned me a couple times over the summer. You can see him and Nick on the floor together. Now that you've actually practiced it, because I've been in practice and seen it, how much does that excite you?
Well, it does, because, you know, sometimes we have to go big and be him, and then sometimes he goes smaller. It could be Kenny and him. Sometimes he go real small, and it could be a Cueto or an Aaron and him. So I think we have the flexibility, but Xavier has shown that his quickness now, he's 238, 239. That's 35 pounds for him total. He's in a better position and shooting the ball much, much better. So, you know, that's exciting. I think I got 7 veterans that can all play. And 3 of them have started for most of their career. That's encouraging.
Tom, how do you feel kind of having gone through the summer, where the perception of the program is? I know you battled. There was some stuff, whether it's in recruiting or whatever it might be, just kind of...
Yeah, well, it's hard. When you go through something like we went through, you know, there's always going to be different perception, and that's part of my job now. All these things double the work I have to do, and that's okay. You know, that's what I've kind of come to grips with, that I want to embrace, you know. I want to make this the greatest place. I want to make this better. I want to make it better. I'm hoping the day comes when a lot of the survivors that were Michigan State girls come back, and, you know, that's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see a big picture of things happen and get better at, you know, and it's never going to be okay with me what happened. I think one of the ways to honor somebody is to try to change things to make it better, that they had an impact. I hope when I leave, my legacy, there was an impact that I left on Michigan State. And so, you know, yeah, we've had to talk our way through things. But the one thing I've found out, too, is we did have some credibility out there. And so it wasn't like we were totally damaged or anything. We were rocked, and, you know, and the whole place got rocked with it. And in some of those cases, rightfully so.
What about, I hate going back to the FBI thing again, but DJ's name back I guess maybe he's the one who really kind of needed to have a little bit of clearance when they said that Michigan State was not involved, were not paid.
Well, DJ and I both got, because we had talked to the people. We were probably on tape.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, DJ was the main recruiter. But I mean, when you say clearance, you know, this is what I'm asking Dan, I'm asking you. What would clear you?
Can I follow up on that?
Yeah.
Did you talk to the NCAA during their investigation?
Of course.
Did they talk to you about the cases?
I'm not rehashing what I went into. But I talked to the NCAA, they covered every single thing thoroughly. So did the police, so did the prosecutor, so did the federal government, and so did the law firm that was hired a long time ago to be.
They talked about 2010 and all, you know,
everything. I mean, you know,
what did they want?
The part that, Dan, you think I'm crazy. I've been kind enough to sit here. I'm not rehashing that stuff. I'm just telling you, everything that was done by us, this thing about hidden secrets, that picture will go down as the worst thing that ever happened to Tom Izzo and Mark D'Antoni. That picture which was completely uncalled for. Had nothing to do with anything. Didn't know the guy. Didn't deal with the guy. What more can I say, Dan? That's it. Apologize if it sounds abrupt, but I've done a pretty good job of handling it the best I can. My comments on this now will not be rehashed. They've been investigated by everybody except my mother. There's nobody arguing that it was horrific what happened. There's nobody that stuck up for them more. You know, every other team in the country didn't do anything. I did something every night. My team, my players, I talked about them until people told me that I was to knock it off. I talked to their parents, some of them. I talked to some of them myself. I don't know what blood you want.
I'm not looking for any blood, but you're sort of conflating two things here. Like, you're talking about survivors of Larry Nassar, which is a very separate issue. I was asking about...
Did you guys bring it together?
I did not. I don't make those decisions, Tom.
No. Were your questions that you brought those two together? Your questions.
I think the confusion here is that the question was about the investigations into how you handled incidents in your program and whether any claims of any...
How many incidents were those in 23 years?
I'm just saying what I think...
How many? I'm asking you. How many?
I do not have a firm number off the top of my head.
Well, there were 4 said, and 1 was definitely...
I'm not arguing that case. I'm talking about, like, this is where people get confused, is that I think you're talking right now about the Nassar investigation, where the question was about you're dealing with the NCAA or authorities or what about if anything was covered up.
I dealt with those too. I dealt with every one of those.
I think that this is where things get confused, is where you're talking about one when the question was about the other.
No, I'm not going to stop. I'm pissed.
I mean, Matt, feel free to chime in. I was just trying to clarify.
Okay, what do you want to clarify?
So I asked you a question.
Chris was talking about DJ and the FBI.
Yeah, I was talking about the FBI.
Yeah, you guys are flying all around. I mean, and what I swore I was going to do, but out of the kindness of my heart for you, because I think you were a victim of being the killing the messenger. Because I have great respect for you and because I'm trying to have some for you. Seriously. Because I was upset about some things you said throughout. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But still didn't disrespect you. Or you. But now we're taking it to another level. I'm not going there. I did everything I was asked to do. I followed every procedure and policy that was in place. Would I handle it different now? If I say yes, I think everybody's handling it. Would you handle it different now? Would you handle it different than you would have in 2010? Do you think media people handle it different now than they did in 2010? Well, of course. So I disagree with my AD on one thing. I don't think it'll be the coach's decision. I think that decision's already been made. I think every one of you think if there's an accusation tomorrow on a guy at Duke, do you think he's suspended?
I'd like to say yes.
Okay, just think what you said. I'd like to say yes. What if it's not true?
Again, that's where I said pause the clock. That's essentially what it comes.
Pause the clock? What does that do for Miles Bridges? Pause the clock.
Well, I mean, we're talking about a criminal allegation. So there's...
What's the key word on that?
The allegation is the key. But
how do we do that? How do we do that? So what we do, Dan, is we let our legal system. We let our what word did you use?
Due process.
Due process. Isn't that the way our country's done for 100 years?
But I guess where people...
I'm not trying to deny you due process at all. I was asking you about the investigation that you went through with the NCAA about your own program, and you were kind of answering about survivors of Larry Nassar's abuse.
Okay, my own program? I'll say this. When I was investigated by every group that I was investigated by, and there's been numerous over the last 10 years, every one of them was handled in the proper way, and the outcome was the same. You guys made the outcome of the NCAA bigger than the other ones. Those outcomes were the same back then. So I handled it properly, no hidden stuff, no secrets, no pictures. I handled it properly. Did I ever say, I don't know what went on and everything, but when you said, shouldn't you know everything that goes on? Do you know what goes on every day?
I said coaches try to.
Yes, we do. We do. But I don't crawl into rooms. I don't ride in cars. I don't do those things.
And that's why I asked that, because coaches do try to know, and you realize you can't.
Right. You're right. So what do you involve? What do you rely on? The due process of the legal system. Do you think that I got my due process in your situation? Do you think I got my due process?
I don't understand your question.
Did I get a fair shake on figuring out when someone's throwing that a kid lived in my basement for a year, and everybody in America did I get my fair shake? Because I'm telling you something right now, it would have taken 9 seconds to go figure that out. 9 seconds.
What do you mean by that?
Just call my wife. Go to somebody.
We tried several times to ask you to talk, and you did not answer those questions, or you, through Matt and other folks at the university, weren't able to answer questions. So that's part of the issue, right?
Anytime I answered a question, I got killed. So because I wouldn't answer the question on whether a guy, I looked at the girl and I said, I have no idea what you're talking about. Is that an answer?
I don't know what you're referring to right now.
You weren't there?
No.
You were?
Carolyn?
Yeah. I said, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay.
She chased me down the hallway. Due process? No due process, Dan. Now here's what I'm going to say, and I'm going to finish it with this. I have great respect for everybody at this table, believe it or not. Even you, which was hard to do. But on one occasion, both of us let our guard down that'll keep between me and you. On one occasion, small, minor, but I had an appreciation what you had to do, because as Judd taught me, you got a job to do. Never once did I say, don't ask me. I always said, I understood why you're asking me, but I hope you understand and respect that I have the same rights as you have. I said that every time. If you think, anybody that knows me, which around this thing would be 1, 2, 3, sorry, but not most of you don't know me as well as some of these guys have for 20 years. Hard to keep my mouth shut. If I told you I got letters from survivors' parents that said, thank you for not saying nothing, let them have the healing process, thank you for not making a big deal, how would you respond to that?
I wouldn't. It's not my job.
Right, because you didn't know. Just like there's things I don't know. I tried to do the best I could do and still keep a team afloat. Due process, there was no due process. I think every kid deserves due process. And someday, if you ever have a kid, or if you ever have a cousin, or a nephew, or an aunt, or an uncle, the survivors deserve due process. The players deserve due process. The coaches, the people, everybody deserves due process. I don't know what else we can do. It's why I hate Twitter. Twitter's the process. There is no due process right now. Well, I'm still American enough to hope there is a due process. Not proud of anything that happened at our place as far as that other situation went. As far as accusations of what players did or not, if there would have been a time when a player was found guilty of something, I promise you he will not be on this team. He will not be on this team. But if you want me to be, what is the word, a vigilante? To go out and perform, is that the word?
Vigilante justice.
To go out and do justice, I can't do that. I got a lot of kids that I can't do that. So unfortunately, my SID will be mad because this turned into something I didn't want it to. But when I say I'm done, does everybody read my lips? I'm done. You asked for it, I gave it to you in February. That wasn't good enough. I gave you something. I did the best I could. I had a team to deal with, and I had no clue on some of the things you all were talking about. No clue. The ones that I did have clue on were as publicized as anything in America. Would I handle some of that differently today? I guess I would look you in the eye and say, probably. You'd say, why? Do you handle things differently today than you would have handled 10 years ago? I mean, 10 years ago, the police do investigations. They're found guilty or not guilty. That's the way the world works. Today, it's a different story. And at the end of the day, that's still the case. But all the stuff in between, we got a lot of issues to deal with. I'm going to try. I have meetings with my players every day. I've had now 6 different groups come in and talk to my players in a summer. I spend more time on that than I do on basketball. Maybe it's good. If it is good, then I'm doing the right thing. If it isn't good, then I'm not doing the right thing. But I will guarantee you, I am trying to do the right thing. I've always tried to do the right thing, and I was appalled because that picture dragged everything in. So if that bothers you that I didn't do that, that brought it all in together.
When you say the picture, you're referring to the one that had Nasser, you, and D'Antonio all in the same picture?
It brought it in like hidden secrets, like everything's hidden. There was no hidden secrets on whether Travis Walton lived with me or not. There was no hidden secrets. I know exactly why that was written, on that he was maybe going to move in with me. I know who wrote it. I've talked to him about it. It would have taken you 10 seconds to just check around town. You checked around town on everything else. It was ridiculous. I lived with it. I did it. I kept my mouth shut. Some for the survivors' parents. Some for my program. There were so many distractions. I did the best I could do. And believe me, if there's anybody that understands more than me being mentored by a guy who the media was trying to fire on one day, and he was telling jokes that night to him, and he said, remember, son, the media has a job to do, and they have an asshole boss too. That was his exact line. And you know what? I remember that my whole life. And I think if you went back and looked at every guy, I've treated the media about as good as anybody that's done what we've done. And you know what? They've treated me good too. This year, it went a little AWOL. And so the media, some of, treated me bad. And in the meantime, I didn't treat them anyway. I just kept my mouth shut. If you can't respect that, you know, part of the problem, seriously, and I'm asking all of you in this room that have kids, what if it was your kid? You should say, what if it was your kid that was a survivor? I got some good friends that were survivors. What if it was your kid that was accused of something they didn't do? That's what I'm asking, you know. I got kids from the inner city. I got kids that have grown up that way. You know what? I got some damn good kids. And I believe in them. And you know what? I've proven. I've kicked kids off for drugs. I've kicked kids off for bad academics. I'm not going to kick somebody off for sexual assault. That's insulting. It's insulting to me. If there's any other questions on basketball, I'd be more than happy to answer.
Back to basketball. A few practices in now. What are you most pleasantly surprised about and maybe concerned about?
You know, I'm concerned on our consistency. At times we look real good. Our consistency, that's part of the lack of leadership. That's what Cassius was talking about up there. He's got to get better at it. He's got to hold his teammates accountable. Josh got to hold them accountable. It's not their total personality. But I am definitely concerned with that. What I'm excited about is I think I've got 7 veterans that have played a lot of basketball, and they've all improved over the summer. I like the fact that I got, I think, good guards, and I like the fact that I think we were really good defensively last year, and that should help us be good defensively this year.
I do have a basketball question. When in the last couple of years, with everything kind of having to almost go through Miles because of the presence that he was, there's so much had to go through him offensively. I wonder what changes when you go back to being kind of a.
You know, they did, but you got to admit, in our own way, Miles was such an unselfish kid. How many press conferences were you on? I said, Miles got to be more like me. I said a jerk. I meant selfish. And so he really wasn't that kid that everything went through him, believe it or not. I mean, it wasn't always the game plan. It wasn't, we knew we had a guy that could get us a shot, But Miles was so unselfish that maybe it hurt us a little bit then. Maybe it's going to help us a little bit now as we recover from losing him and Jaron. I mean, I think we're going to lose. I think an area we're going to lose some in is Jaron. With his shot blocking, made our defense better. We were able to cheat, and then sometimes if guys wouldn't do things right, he made up for it with a blocked shot. I think we're going to miss that more than you think.
Well, to be a backcourt-driven team as opposed to just like have to get it to Miles, like you're just trying to work stuff through Miles. Does the offense kind of suddenly get freer is the right word, or how does that actually play out?
You know, you sound like you're recruiting against us when you say freer. You know, that's the big phrase. I mean, the freshman year we were a Nick Ward pounded in. We won a lot of games with an average team. It wasn't Miles then, it was Nick Ward. And freer, we averaged 80 points a game last year. So, God, I got to defend a lot today, but I think what you're going to see is we had 5 guys in double figures last year. I mean, most people would die to have that. 17 to 11, I think it was, in the range. I think we're going to have a pretty good team like that. I think we got a real go-to guy in Cassius on the perimeter, and I think you're going to see Nick Ward now get back to his freshman year where, you know, he's a bull in a china closet down on that block and needs to be and should be back in your day, like your guys. Yeah, he wants to shoot. I mean, of course, because
do you want him to shoot?
Because he listens to the media and Twitter, and everybody's got to say the only way to be a pro. Let me tell you how to be a pro. Be good.
He's
win.
Never missed a 3 in his career.
Never missed a 3. So bad coaching. I said he's 1 for 1 from the 3. But you know what? Here's the difference. The way I look at it. So Nick came back and said, I said, what do the NBA people say? Okay, got to be able to shoot it better, got to be able to defend a lot better, and got to be a dominant rebounder. And you know what? I agreed with all 3 of those things. So when I talked to the NBA people, that when he tried out for him, it was, why is he coming here shooting 3s? I said, well, because he's listening to people telling him that's what you guys want. They want to be able to shoot a ball, make a shot. So what Nick did is he worked his tail off this summer. He is a much better shooter than he was. Now, is he a 3-point shooter? No. He's a much better shooter than he was. And he's going to get some chances to shoot the ball. I got no problem. Nick's thing wasn't in his shot selection. Nick's thing was his attitude. He's got to be more accountable in everything he does. And I've seen 6 months of that now, 5 months of that. So I'm all in. I'm all in with Nick.
You guys, we got down with 5 minutes.
What happened?
No.
Anything happened?
No.
What a mess.
From the way your teams have played in the past, just talk about, can you teach or coach toughness, heart, that kind of thing? I mean, I bring up Jimmy Butler, but you know, he brings up situations with certain players that he's trying to get out of. Can you coach that, teach that?
I like that about Jimmy Butler personally, a lot, because I think it is a necessity to win. I think Jimmy Butler thinks it's a necessity to win. I bet you in your day, you hatchet man, you thought it was a necessity to win. And I think it's a necessity to win. Can you teach it? It's harder, you know, but I think as you get stronger, as you have more physical practices, you grow into it. I mean, most guys don't love the physical nature anymore because everybody wants, you know, free-flowing and this and that. But in all honesty, that usually, I mean, what did you think of Villanova 2 of their 3 years? They were pretty smash-mouthy. Now, they had guards that could do things, but they are getting after you. They are tough. So I think right now what I have is Nick and Xavier are very, very tough kids. The kid that I think is going to help us a lot is Kyle Arns, because he was that kid, but he hadn't played in 2 years. And he's a tough kid who's got the highest vertical on the team and is one of the best shooters. That's not a combination that you see more. Now, I don't expect miracles. He hasn't played in a year and a half, but I do expect that he's gonna help us a lot.
Have you had a guy who's made the biggest strides maybe in your career, going from maybe a little bit soft to being kind of...
Morris Peterson. He was a wimp. You know, I'd say he made the biggest strides. But there's, you know, there's been guys, I mean, Denzel got tougher. Bryn Forbes got tougher. You know, there are guys, and sometimes it's not just physically tough. It's mentally tough, you know. I think that's what some of the things Jimmy, you know, are they going to do the things to win championships or just win games? So, in all honesty, I was joking with you what's happened with him, but I kind of appreciate his approach because he wants to win a championship. He doesn't want to just win 50 games. And I think he knows that that's not going to happen. I think if you look at what Magic did out there, why would he pick up some of the guys he picked up? Why is he picking up Stevenson?
Toughness, right?
Huh? Why is he picking him? I laughed when I saw him, and I said, and I got my right answer, you know. And Rondo, I mean, that's why he picked him up. So everybody wants all this, no insult, free-flowing, non-contact, and you win a lot of games that way. You don't necessarily win championships that way very often.
I watched Kyle hit 21 threes in a row, and I'm curious, is that way underrated in his game, is his ability to stretch the floor?
He can really shoot the ball. You know, now what he'll do when games start and that, you know, being off as long as he have, I've learned over the years that when guys miss a lot of time, that's the way it is, you know, but I do like what he's brought to the table, how hard he's worked at it. He just missed a lot of time.
In the NBA, if a player's out 3 weeks, they expect him to be back playing 3 weeks before he's 100%.
Yeah.
Obviously, with him being out a year, that doesn't count because he's been back practicing. But how long do you expect
it's worse than you think. I mean, it is a long time. I mean, it's not just 3 weeks, you know, but he has had a good progression. He has played before. We don't need him to be a starter or a star right now. I think he's going to be a very good role player this year and really help us.
Anything else, guys?
Thanks, guys.